Yasin, you have seen so many hundreds, maybe thousands of cases. What is the general take or advice you can provide to the people? You know, you everybody has a story when it comes to submitting their asylum claim and all. So, when going through a hearing process, what they have to be, you know, like what, why, why most, you know, why the when it comes to the cases which getting rejected, what is the general pattern that you identified, and what is the general pattern you identified when the cases which won?
Hmm. Yeah. So I would say that, it's always one of the things, and this kind of applies to a lot of things in Canada, at least based on more of my own experience as well, is you should always be on top of your own case as well. So, like, if there's something that you're actively having, if there's a refugee claim that you're having, or let's say, if you're going to your doctor for an issue or whatever, you should keep on top of it, and keep on top of your own case. So stay informed, and don't, sometimes people rely on others, so like either social workers or their interpreters and things like that, to help them with cases, and that's fine. Like, there are a lot of people out there who will help you, and obviously we will do our best to help as well. But being prepared, right? So being prepared, we have cases where, from when we help and draft a basis of claim form and narrative for a client based on their allegations and so on, we'll help people to draft those documents so that they have something that it reads clearly, and someone can read it and understand what happened to this person. But then if you don't look at that document again, and then you have, let's say, your hearing comes up 2 years later on, if you haven't bothered to look at that document before you go into the hearing, or if you haven't bothered to look at the documents that are on your file, or if you don't even know which documents exist in your file, that's a big problem, right? And it's, I tell people, going into a hearing without looking at those documents, like looking at your own story, even though it's your own statement and it's something you've written, if it was 2 years ago, it's very difficult to remember exactly what you wrote. And people have generally quite bad memories. We have a tendency to um, misquote dates, or to give the wrong dates, or to say the wrong things, or to forget them altogether. Sometimes people mix up events together. So, human memory is really bad, particularly when it's been another 2 years or a year and a half since you wrote an initial document. So it always helps to refresh your memory, to remind yourself, well, what did I say? What did I initially give? And I always tell people as well, like, sometimes I watch a lot of US courtroom documentaries and stuff, and you can watch, in the US they broadcast some of their cases, and it's always interesting to see how they try and get someone in a bind, right? And even where someone's telling the truth, people can mix up dates, or not remember things correctly, which can lead to doubt in the other person's mind. So if someone's telling a story, and then you get something wrong and you start contradicting yourself, even if it's a minor thing, it can cause the person who's listening to you to doubt whether you're telling them the actual truth. So I tell people, be on top of your case. Obviously, if you have people helping with it, that's great, and you should get help for that. But at the same time, make sure you know what's going on. So make sure you have a copy of your basis of claim form. Make sure you have a copy of your client application summary, even if a lawyer or someone else is submitting on your behalf. Now, obviously, if you have a lawyer submitting your refugee claim on your behalf, you won't have access to the portal itself, because we as lawyers have our own portal with all of our clients' information. So I sometimes have people asking me and saying, "Oh, hey, can I have access to my IRCC portal?" And I'll have to tell them, "No, sorry, that's my portal, and it has a bunch of other people's information on it. I can't share that with you, but I can give you, all of the documents that immigration has sent, or I can give you a screenshot of your application directly." But there's no new information. Once a claim is made through the IRCC portal, and once that information is transmitted to the refugee board, nothing further really comes out of the portal itself, other than perhaps some documents from immigration regarding, like, a person's prior visa application, or if the government is intervening. Those are things that can sometimes come through on the portal. But yeah, so maintaining kind of an understanding of your own case and being on top of it is really important. gathering documents quicker, like doing it as soon as possible. Um, that helps with a person's case because then the person is prepared. If a person is ready to proceed and has their case in order and has their documents ready, it makes it that much easier for the board member. Well, it makes it that much easier for us to help them, but it makes it that much easier for the board member to look at the case and say, okay, this is what the person's alleging happened. They've given me the documents to show that these things, different elements have happened. I'm willing to believe them, right? I'm willing to believe that they're telling me the truth. So we see that with people who do take it more seriously and do take it, um, do maintain kind of an understanding and a priority with this type of thing, that helps them a lot more. But at the same time, you do have to get on with your own life in Canada as well, right? And we don't want people worrying about these things all the time. That's not good for a person's mental health. So particularly for the clients that we have and we deal with, I always tell them, look, if we're not worried about it, and if we're not panicking about a case, that's a good sign because it shows that there's no surprises or issues in the case. We generally will, always tell someone where there is a problem or, if there is an issue in the case that has to be dealt with, we'll try and raise that as quickly as we can. And most, um, even the lawyers and the paralegals and consultants out there, I would, again, if you're working with someone who knows what they're doing, which is important as well, that you have to be comfortable with that. Just in the same with any other field, whether you look at an accountant or a doctor or whatever. So if you're working with someone else, and if you're going to trust them, one, make sure that you know who they are and what they're doing in your case, but at the same time maintaining that awareness yourself as well.